Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grade 10 Tourism Media Examination, June 2025. So please note that the mark allocation for this paper is 150, then the time is 2 hours. Then in addition to that, it is made up of different sections, but you should bear in mind that all sections are compulsory. Then Section A consists of short questions which make up 40 marks. Then we also have map work and tour planning, 40 marks. Then we also have tourism sectors, which constitutes of 45 marks. Then domestic tourism, 25 marks. So the total for the paper would be 150 marks. So short questions, question 1. Various possible options are provided as answers to the following questions. Choose the correct answer and write only the letter next to the question number in the answer book. For example, 1.1.10a. So we have the first question, which reads, Mr. Bernard takes his children to the zoo in a neighboring town. They stay there until 5 p.m. or 1700 hours, and then they return home. So the question requires us to choose what type of tourists are these ones. So these are known as excursionists. When you go and spend less than 24 hours in a particular day, you are labeled or you are referred to as an excursionist. So these are known as excursionists. So that is the first question. The correct letter would be the letter C, which I'm going to highlight using the yellow color here. Then moving on to the next question, which is 1.1.2. An example of a self-catering accommodation is a chalet. A chalet is an example of a self-catering accommodation whereby guests are expected to prepare their own meals, to bring their own meals. They use the facilities which are provided in that type of accommodation. Then they prepare their own meals. Then we move on to 1.1.3. Overseas students visit South Africa and they have a limited budget. Which is the best accommodation for them? So we need to first highlight the key terms here. So we have overseas students. These people are students, which means that they have a limited budget as well. So the most likely form of accommodation which we are going to choose for them would be something which is low class. So if you look at a 4-star hotel, that is way beyond their budget. So the appropriate answer would be a youth hostel, which would be appropriate for their budget. A villa cannot be an option simply because it is also an expensive type of accommodation. The same applies to the market guest house. So we are eliminating the other 3 options and we are left with option B, which is the youth hostel. Then 1.1.4, from the list below, choose the direction of Limpopo province from the Western Cape. The Western Cape, from its name, it is located on the western side, on the south western side of the country. Then Limpopo province is located on the north eastern side of the country. So in this case, the question says, from the list below, choose the direction of the Limpopo province from the Western Cape. So the direction of the Limpopo province from the Western Cape would be northeast. It is to the north and in an easterly direction. So the correct answer there would be the northeast. 1.5. What type of map would a tourist use to find their hotel? So when a tourist intends to find their hotel, they are most likely going to use a road map simply because it has various features which shows man-made buildings such as hotels and different types of accommodation. So a road map would be the one which would be appropriate for tourists who need to look or to find their hotel. 1.1.6. The term used to describe the illegal hunting of animals is referred to as, the correct answer in this scenario would be B, which is poaching. So that is referred to poaching when people hunt animals illegally, especially endangered species. That is referred to as poaching. 1.1.7. This organization, in conjunction with a number of other role players, have developed guidelines for responsible tourism in South Africa. So the correct answer then would be the Department of Environmental Affairs and Tourism. It is the main role player in the tourism, in sustainable tourism in South Africa. So it works with a collection or a host of other role players who have developed guidelines for responsible tourism in South Africa. Then if we move on to the next one, this type of communication does not require words. So the type of communication which does not require words in this scenario would be the fax. So the fax, it is only the exchange of graphic images, which can be documents or others, without the exchange or the use of words. So this is referred to as the fax machine. 1.1.9, which of the following is not true? Tourism in South Africa can help to. So we are looking at something which is not true. So let's eliminate all the other options which are not appropriate. So tourism actually contributes to economic growth. So this one is actually true. Tourism does not result in reduced income. So this is actually not true. So our option which we are choosing is B. Then the reason why we are leaving out C and D is that tourism does actually reduce poverty, and it also leads to increased employment. So that's why we are reducing. We are eliminating the other three options given in this scenario. Then moving on to 1.10, South Africa's luxury 5-star tourism train is called. So the luxury tourism 5-star tourism tourist train is called, or it is known as the Blue Train. It is known as the Blue Train. All right, if you look at the Shusholo Zamel, that is just basically, it is a basic train service. The premier class, of course, it is classy, but it won't reach the 5-star level. Then the Gautrain, it is a commuter train. It is not a tourist train. 1.1.1, which of the following was designed to promote domestic tourism? So there are quite a number of campaigns which were designed by the Department of Tourism and Environmental Affairs to promote domestic tourism. So one of the campaigns is known as the Short Left campaign. It is a campaign which is designed to encourage people to travel domestically or to visit neighboring provinces, neighboring cities, and neighboring towns. Then 1.1.12, it reads, peak season for travel in South Africa means. So I'll start by highlighting the key term then. The key term is peak season. Peak season, it simply means the height of the travel season in South Africa. Where do people travel mostly in South Africa? When do they travel mostly in South Africa? So if you look at the options which we have then, you would realize that the most suitable option would be from late November. Then we also have December and early January, which is commonly referred to as the festive season. So people start traveling in large numbers from late November, December, and up until early January. So this is what we refer to as the peak season of travel in South Africa. Then 1.1.13, which group of tourists falls under special interest tourism? So we have various options which have been given them. We are eliminating the inappropriate options. So A, beach holiday to the Seychelles. That is considered to be adventure tourism. Then B, following the Springboks on a rugby tour. That's sport or event tourism. Then C, bird watching in the bushveld. So C is considered to be a special interest tourist because it is concentrated on a particular activity, which is considered to be a unique activity, a special activity. So that's why it's called a special interest, or that is why it is categorized as special interest tourism. Then if you look at the last options, Muslims going to Hajj, going on Hajj to Mecca, this is considered to be religious tourism. So our most appropriate option then would be letter C. So I'm going to eliminate the ones which are not appropriate there. Ones which are not appropriate, obviously, we'll be having this one. We consider it to be adventure tourism, so it's out. We are eliminating it. This is adventure. Then this is event tourism. Then this is called religious. So after eliminating those other three options in green, we are left with bird watching in the bushveld. Then the next one, VFR tourists that are VFR are tourists that are. So VFR is actually an acronym which refers to the type of tourism where people visit friends and relatives. So in this case, our option will be the letter B. So we'll be choosing VFR refers to tourists who visit friends and relatives. So this will be the correct option in this scenario. Then moving on to 1.1.5, which one is not an example of formal service accommodation? So formal service accommodation, it refers to the service accommodation which is regulated or which meets the minimum standards set out by the Tourism Grading Council of South Africa. So if you look at the options which we have then, the one which is not a formal service accommodation, it's a guest house. For example, you can turn your own personal home to become a guest house where you can accommodate people. So all the others are considered to be formal service accommodation. The lodges are considered to be formal service, hotels considered to be formal services. Then the same applies to game lodges. Now moving on to 1.16. So an English breakfast includes. So the first thing which we need to bear in mind is that an English breakfast, it's actually originated in England or in Britain, which is predominantly a cold country. So in this case, it means that an English breakfast consists of hot cooked food. So in this case, this might include things like coffee. Just to add, an English breakfast might include a cup of coffee. Then we also have bacon. Then we also have eggs. Then we also have, in addition, we have bread, which can be bread, or you can refer to it as toast. So this is what we refer to as an English breakfast. Then 1.1.17, which establishment will be located in the city center and it sells a wide selection of alcoholic beverages and no food. So we are going to eliminate the inappropriate terms. But before we do that, I'll start by highlighting the keyword which would guide us in getting to the correct answer. So the question reads, which establishment will be located in the city center? So the first keyword here is in the city center. Then the second part, it sells a wide selection of alcoholic beverages and no food. So there's a wide selection, but there's no food. So in this case, we are eliminating the first one, A. I'm going to eliminate A simply because when you talk about this is mainly informal. It is informal, found in townships. Townships which are informally known as the locations. Then if we look at B, a pub, it is usually located in a city center, yes, but this one would include, it includes food. It includes food. Then if we look at the next one, the bar, yes, the bar is usually located in a city center and it sells a wide selection of alcoholic beverages, but it does not serve any food. So in this case, the letter C will be our most appropriate option. Then if you look at the next letter, which is the tavern, you find that this one is mainly found in the South African context. It's mainly found in in townships, not in the city center. It's mainly found in townships. So this won't be appropriate. So the correct answer then will be C. 1.1.8. Which of the following is a top tourist attraction in South Africa? So if you look at all these attractions, yes, they are popular. If you look at Sun City, yes, it's a top tourist attraction. The National Park, top tourist attraction. The Garden Route also are famous. But the one which is much more famous, much more than all the other destinations, would be Table Mountain. Table Mountain, if you look at, even at the visitor numbers, it receives more tourists, much more than the other three attractions. Then moving on to 1.1.19. Which group will be involved in negotiating discount packages? So the purpose or the task of negotiating discount packages on behalf of travelers, it is the responsibility of professionals who are known as travel agents. They are responsible for negotiating discount packages for tourists. Then, so our appropriate option then will be the travel agent. They are responsible for negotiating negotiating discount packages. Then if we move on to the next one, 1.1.20, this is a new career in the tourism industry that organizes seminars, business meetings for large organizations. So this is known as conference organizing. This is actually referred to as conference organizing. It is a new type of career in the tourism industry that organizes seminars and business meetings for large organizations. So that is known as a conference organizer. Then this brings us to the end of the multiple choice questions. Now we are moving on to the next set of questions. So the next set of questions requires us to choose a term from the list that best matches the description provided. A term may be used just once. We need to highlight this. More than once, or not at all. So we actually have the luxury of using a term even more than once or not at all. So we have different terms which have been provided or which are in bold there. So the first one, it says, it reads outbound domestic tourist. And we also have a regional tourist. So we have the inbound international tourist, outbound international tourist. So we need to match the appropriate terms with the appropriate descriptions there. So I'm going to be writing the appropriate term next to the description. So the first term or the first description which we have there, we have a tourist who travels from South Africa to Brazil. So this type of tourist is a resident of South Africa who is going to Brazil. So the fact that he is coming from South Africa, he is actually, we consider such type of a tourist to be an outbound tourist. So we are going to consider this one as an outbound international tourist, simply because he is crossing the borders of South Africa into a new territory known as Brazil. So we consider that type of tourist to be outbound international tourist. That is the first one. Then moving on to the next one. Your friend travels from England to visit you in South Africa. So this is someone who is coming into South Africa. So we use the term inbound international tourists, simply because they are coming into the country and they are coming from international territory. So we refer to them as inbound international tourists. Then the next one, we have Becky, who lives in Gauteng and he travels to Cape Town. So Becky, simply because he lives in Gauteng and is mainly going to Cape Town, which is still in South Africa, we consider him to be an outbound domestic tourist. Outbound domestic tourist. outbound domestic tourist. Then moving on to 1.2.4, a person who travels from South Africa to China. So a person who travels from South Africa to China is also called an outbound international tourist. Person who travels from South Africa to China is referred to an outbound international tourist. Then moving on to the next one. The next one would be a person who travels from South Africa to Botswana. So a person who travels from South Africa to Botswana, simply because if you look at South Africa and Botswana, they are both part of a region called the SADC region. This person is simply traveling within a region referred to as a SADC region. So we refer to such a type of a tourist as a regional tourist. Regional tourist. This type of tourist is referred to as a regional tourist, simply because they are not crossing any border. They are crossing borders, but within the same region. They are within the same SADC region, so they are considered to be regional tourists. Now, moving on to 1.3, match the terms in column A with the statements in column B. Write only the letter A to F next to the question number. For example, 1.3.1 to 1.3.5 in your answer book. For example, 1.30, then we write G. So what we are doing, we have various terms which are provided in the left column. Then we have the first term, which is ecosystem. Then the second term, which is cultural heritage. The third term, cultural diversity. Then we also have ecotourism. We also have conservation. Then we have the descriptions on the left-hand side. The first description is this aims to preserve and protect a community and a country's natural heritage. Then an excursion to a historical, cultural, and natural environment. Then implies a family that lives together and whose members influence each other in the environment. Then the next one, South Africa is a rich cultural heritage made up of different communities. So the next one, the physical surroundings and conditions of an area, especially as they relate to people's lives. Then it refers to past customs and traditions that are regarded as great value. So I'll start with the first one, which is ecosystem. So ecosystem in this case, it refers to the physical surroundings of an area as they relate to people's lives. So this one, the correct answer there will be the letter E. Then when we are talking about cultural heritage, we are talking about the past customs and the traditions that are regarded as of great value. That is the letter F. Then cultural diversity. South Africa has a rich cultural diversity made up of different communities. So the correct answer there would be D. Then if you look at ecotourism, 1.3.3 ecotourism, it is an excursion to historical, cultural, and natural environment, which would be represented by the letter B. Then if you look at conservation, that is, it aims to preserve and protect a community and a country's natural heritage. That would be conservation, would be represented by the letter A. So conservation, it would be the letter A. Then ecotourism will be linked by the letter B. Then cultural diversity, it will be the letter D. Then if you look at cultural heritage, it refers to the past traditions. Then an ecosystem, that will be letter E, will be So that's how we match those columns. So moving on to the next one, we are going to classify the following list of words under the given headings. Present your answer in the form of the table below. So we have different columns which have been provided there. We have the ocean, the continent, the river, and we have been given an example of a river, which is the Orange River. Then we also have the mountain, and we also have the desert. So we have the different list of words which have been given there. We have the Pacific, the Drakensberg. We also have South America, the Sahara, Kilimanjaro, Mississippi, the Nile, Kalahari, Africa, Indian. So we need to classify the various words or the various names of features which have been given them into their appropriate column. So if we look at the first one, we'll start by the oceans. So the names of the ocean which appear then, the first one, we are going to take the Pacific. This is an example of an ocean. So the Pacific. All right, then moving on, let's see if we can find another example of an ocean as well. Yes, we do have one. We also have the Indian Ocean. This is an example of an ocean. So we are going to write it in the appropriate column there. Then if we look, you can see that we no longer have any extra oceans there. Then now we are moving on to the next option, which is the continents. So I'm going to highlight the continents in red. So the first continent which we are coming across there, we have the South America. Then if we continue with the list down, we also have Africa. So we have two continents there. So I'm going to write the continents in red there. So we have South America is the first. Then we also have Africa as the next. So those are the two options, or those are the two oceans which we have. Then if you look at the rivers, already we have been given the Orange River as an example. Then we are going to look for more rivers. So the first one is the Mississippi River. Then we also have the Nile River. So those are the two options of the rivers which we have. So the first one, Mississippi River in America. Then the next one is the Nile River in Africa. Those are the two options of the rivers which we have. Now moving on to the next one, which is the column where we are required to provide mountains. The first mountain which we have then will be the Drakensberg Mountain. Then the second one will be Kilimanjaro. So we now have our two mountains. So the first one, the Drakensberg. Then the second one is Kilimanjaro, Mount Kilimanjaro in East Africa. So those are the two options which we have. Now moving on to the deserts. So the first one which is given there, we have the Sahara Desert. We underline the Sahara Desert. Then we also have the Kalahari Desert. So we have the Sahara and the Kalahari. So those are the deserts which we have. So if you look at these different columns, you would just a recap. The oceans which we have the Pacific and the Indian. The continent, we have South America and Africa. The rivers, we have Orange, Mississippi, and the Nile. Then the mountains, we have the Drakensberg, Kilimanjaro. Then finally, in terms of the desert, we have the Sahara and the Kalahari. Now, moving on to the next option. Now, this topic is basically map work and tour planning, which consists of 40 marks. So we are going to start by studying the map which appears there. So there is a map which appears on the next page. So it is basically a map which includes the provinces of Mpumalanga. And I think you can see that we have various national routes there. We have the N1, which runs from this direction. We also have the N4, which moves into Witbank. Then we also have towns such as Groblersdale, Liedenberg, Pilgrim's Rest. Then we also have the Kruger National Park. We also have the neighboring Mozambique, Skukuza, and other places. Swaziland, which is neighboring also, it appears there. Then we have Mpumalanga. Then we also have Secunda, Standerton, and other places. Now, let's go straight to the questions. So we have Jonah, who is a 26-year-old traveler from England. He is visiting South Africa as an eco and adventure tourist. Name 2 places he should visit during his stay. So the first thing which we should bear in mind is that an eco-tourist enjoys the natural landscape and adventure. They would want to engage in various activities which are not the usual activities which you do on a day-to-day basis. So in terms of ecotourism, I would actually allocate the Kruger National Park. It is an ideal place for ecotourism simply because it has an abundance of flora and fauna. So in terms of ecotourism, I would suggest that Jonah should visit the Kruger National Park. The Kruger National Park. That is for ecotourism. Then I would advise the Blythe River Canyon for activities such as for adventure, or even the Beaverton Mountains. Beaverton Mountains for adventure. Hiking is an example of an adventure. All right, so that is the first question, 2.2.1. Now, the next question reads, which national highway leads to Durban? So we need first to locate the direction of Durban on the map. So if you look at Durban, I'm going to highlight it in green. So Durban appears there, or let me circle it rather. This is where we find Durban. Then the question reads, which national highway leads to Durban? So if you can see, the N3 is the national highway which leads to Durban. The national Route 3 is the national route which leads to Durban. Then the next question reads 2.1.3. A family of 4 from Johannesburg is interested in going fly fishing. Which town should they stay in? So we have a family of 4 who are interested in fly fishing, which obviously you would find next to a river. So this is most likely that there are so many towns which are there. I would recommend Graskop or Pilgrim's Rest, because they are next to the Blythe River. Pilgrim's Rest. Pilgrim's Rest. Then we also have Pilgrim's Rest, and the second other option which we have Hazyview or Graskop. They can live in Hazyview. They can also live in Graskop. So these are the two options which we have. Then we also have Spiwe, who is traveling from Bethel to Nelspruit. Give him directions using only the main routes. So the first thing which we need to do, we need to identify the different cities or the different towns on the map. So the two towns which are involved here, we have Bethel to Nelspruit. So we need to first identify where Bethel is and where Nelspruit is. So if you look at this, you find that Bethel is here. Then we also have Nelspruit, which is a city which is also there. So there are various options of going to Bethel from Nelspruit. So another option would be moving from Bethel to Wheatbank. Then move from Bethel to Wheatbank. Then you catch the N4 via Belfast, via Vatrifal, Bowen, then up until you get to Nelspruit. So that can be an easier option. So there are various options which this traveler can choose. Another option, they can go through Carolina, then via Belfast, then they can link to the N4 and go to Nelspruit. Or alternatively, they can still use this other route via Ermelo. Then they go via Carolina. Then they go via Pemberton until they reach Nelspruit. So any of these following routes can be an option. So from Bethel to Wheatbank to Belfast via the N4, then until you get to Nelspruit. Or they can move from Bethel to Carolina, then they get to Butplus, they join on the N4 until they get to Nelspruit. Or they can move from Bethel, then they move to Carolina, then Bladplus, Bepperton until they get to Nelspruit. So those are different routes which can be chosen by them, by Spiwe.